Hello, welcome to, I noticed that the voice seems to not come through so well. Welcome to January 24th, 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. Just a quick disclaimer for new subscribers to the channel. This is not a Japan-related video. This is a video that I do my recitation of my objectives, and I go over the last 24 hours and I prepare for the day. So it's kind of like a personal diary of sorts, but it's also done in conjunction with a book that I wrote called Going Alone. It has nothing to do with Japan other than the fact that I happen to be in a Japanese convenience store while I do this. This is a Lawson station at Kusanagi. I have the camera oriented in such a way that, for the most part, except for maybe a head or two walking past me, you won't catch anybody incidentally in the frame. I stop here because it's still cold, it's still January. I can get a cup of hot coffee and talk to you. As the days get warmer, as we proceed out of winter, I'll be doing this out and about in the wild. So one of the things I'm doing differently now that I'm doing these exercises here, and I've been doing this since December 2018 every day, and for the most part film almost every single day. I have playlist after playlist of these videos, these diaries. But something that I'm doing now that I did before in America when I was living in Huntington Beach is preparing a few notes as I prepare, and this is going to turn helpful, especially as I'm trying to, like a potter, mold my life into a new life here in Japan. Final bit of the disclaimer. This is not only is this not related to Japan, I touch on very sensitive topics to some people in this video, namely death. So if you're squeamish about talking about dying, then this probably isn't the video for you. Also, if you're here for Japan, this probably ain't for you as well, like I said. So it's 6:15 a.m. right now. I started the day at 4 a.m. I woke up. Between 4 and 5, I worked on my engagement, which means going through all of the comments on all social media, responding to all comments that required a response, most notably YouTube, where I absolutely respond to everything. And that was all caught up. By 5 o'clock, I get my little hat. I got a hat yesterday, unique when I went shopping. And this one folds down like this. And I can stay nice and warm on my earsies. So I walked, and Yumiko sent me on an errand. So she wanted eggs from the egg vendor 2 communities over from where we live. So she gave me some money, a little thing of money, and left it by my shoes in the morning. And I headed out, and I was able to get the eggs. The reason that it's tough to get is that they're very popular and they're all sold out. But she was saying, since you get up so early, Kurt, actually it was me that suggested. I said, hey, since I get up so early, why don't you just give me the money and I'll go get it. I got eggs for myself, for our family, and her family too. And by 6 a.m. I was here in Kusanagi, here at the Lawson station, got my coffee, and I'm ready to start the day. So let's get on with it. The Good Life meditation, I do 4 things in the course of this video. I think about the last 24 hours, how I did with any challenges or opportunities that I met. I recite the 8 objectives of my Good Life creed. I then prepare for the coming day, looking at what's ahead and planning the day out. And then 4th, I prepare for death. So with regard to yesterday and last night, very interesting for me is tackling the challenges that I encounter, which are very interesting. In America, the challenges that I encountered were very cerebral. They were the challenges of the stress of my job, the challenges of thinking through how we were going to make our move to Japan, the logistics, the money, all that stuff. Now that I'm here and all of that is settled, I don't have a career, I don't have a job anymore. I don't have to worry about the money thing anymore, because basically I got all the money over here. Well, I didn't get all the money over here. I got all the money. We had a lump sum of money to buy a house and buy a car. And I had to get all that money over here and then put it in my wife's hands so she could facilitate all of that. I've done all of that. So my work here is done. So now that the career is over and the money management to get us started here is over, my challenges still remain cerebral to the point that I need to find purpose and meaning in life in this new paradigm. because a lot of my meaning came previously from my job. But now there's other things that are happening, and they're more physical in nature. For example, I'm feeling older, suddenly, much older. And then the other thing is that I'm not feeling good in the afternoons. This has been a thing that started about a week and a half ago. I thought it was my diet. And then last night I was walking dogs with my sister-in-law, Yoko, and my wife and the dogs. And she told me something that I think she nailed it. Allergies. Last week, Tokyo registered for the first time, earliest ever in recorded history, the arrival of the first allergens in the air. And here in Shizuoka, we get nailed. We have big mountains around us full of sugi trees, and allergens are everywhere, and I'm really susceptible. So is Yoko, and my wife, my sister-in-law, and her brother is especially susceptible, Takeshi. And we were talking last night, and she told me, because I was telling her, I'm having trouble in the afternoons. I feel like sick, I get tired. And she said, Kurt, it's allergies. She said, because the same things happened to her. And she told me that Takeshi went to the doctor, and the doctor got him on medication in January for allergies that don't usually strike until the spring. And this is my first time living in Japan. But basically it's only my second time back in Japan since I left. And I remember how bad they were, and then it all came flooding back, and I remembered, oh yeah, this is exactly what it was like when I was living here, and I would get allergies. I'd feel like crap, like I was sick. I would feel exhausted. And I don't know if you saw, but maybe before I turned the camera on, I was wiping my nose because the sniffles are here. So I think, I got my little notebook here, I think I figured out what my afternoon fatigue is. It's allergies. So I know what to do about that, which is I can address it with there's mask, there's medications I can take. I can go see a doctor like Takeshi did. I'm going to kind of measure it out and see how the things go. So at least I know what it is now. I can address that. The other thing that was a challenge yesterday was a sense of discomfort that came from trespassing on my own land. Yumiko was making lunch for her dad. I was at home with the dogs, and she was making lunch for Dad. And she texted me, or she called me, and she said, Kurt, why don't you come on by? Because she was out getting Dad's laundry, and bringing Dad's laundry in from the sunny side of the house. Their house is just 5 minutes walking from our house, the house that we're buying. And we haven't lived there, so we don't know anything about it. And she said, it was such a pleasant afternoon bringing in the laundry. She said, Kurt, why don't you come up here? Let's walk up to our house and go in the backyard and see how it is. See if it's as pleasant in our backyard as it is in Dad's backyard. So I walked over to the house, and we walked up there together, and we went through the back end, through the property that we want to buy, the big garden, the bamboo forest that we want to buy. And we went and we walked to through the forest. There's actually a trail that goes through the bamboo forest into our backyard. And I was a little anxious because we don't own this place yet. We won't actually own it for another 5 days. But we went down 2 days ago and registered with the city office, which is what you're supposed to do in Japan when you buy a house. Before you get the keys, you need to go to City Hall and register that that's your place, and they update your documents. So my documents have been updated. I live there now, according to the city. It even says so on my resident card. So I was joking with Yumiko. I said, so we'll go sneak into our backyard, and if anybody questions what we're doing there, I'll say, I'll whip out my ID and say, I live here. And as we're standing there in the backyard, we heard a door slam on the other side. We shuffled out of there, went around the place, and came up and looked down the street, and sure enough, there were 2 cars there, most likely the owners, inside doing whatever final things that they're going to do, prior to, relinquishing the house to us. I don't think they saw us in the backyard because the curtains are shut. So, and they couldn't have heard us because we didn't say anything. So it was that close. But I felt a great sense of anxiousness rise in me when I felt like I was trespassing on what will soon be my own land. I will tell you this. I garnered, and I even floated it with Yumiko, I garnered some resolve yesterday walking through the bamboo forest that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to clear that bamboo. Or, not the whole thing, but, a great portion of it to make to clear for more sunlight to come through to our house, and also to make it maybe suitable for gardening for two reasons. One, the land is owned by the prefecture. So who cares, right? I mean, it's like, it's not like it's the neighbor's land. And two, all we're doing is kind of just taking care of the land, right? We're not like building a shed or anything like that. We're just gonna clean the land up a little bit. And in the process, we're gonna try to buy it, or at least get a long-term lease. Okay. So that was that for yesterday. I didn't feel good in the afternoon as usual, but I think I know why. What I did do was I went for a walk, and I took the dog with me, Rudy. Ollie stayed home with Yumiko, and I discovered something really interesting about walking Rudy in Japan. If you've been with me, for those of you that are new, before I came to Japan, I was living in the Anza Borrego Desert for 6 months, alone with my dogs. The one dog came over, and then it was just me, the little white dog, Rudy, and me. And we walked over 1,000 miles through the desert together, just desert trails. Little tiny Chihuahua Pomeranian walking 1,000 miles through the desert with me. And during the course of that time, he became a pretty good walker. And yesterday I discovered that walker in him again. We went for a long walk in the afternoon. I thought he'd be stopping everywhere. He didn't. He just trudged on, and I had my little man back here, and I put on this little clip here, and I was able to clip him in here. This hangs around me. I was hands-free. Rudy was clipped to me. He's got a nice Japanese-style leash, which is very short and tight. And he just trudged along, and we had the greatest walk. And I realized what was missing in Walking in Japan version 2 is it really needs it needs to be called Walking the Dog in Japan. So I think that Rudy is going to be joining me on my daily walks that I do alone, because I do two types of walks. I walk with my wife, and I walk like this. Like this morning walk is a cerebral walk. It's a walk of thought and body, getting exercise and thinking. And then when I do this in the afternoon, I'm going to take Rudy with me. It's too cold in the morning, and he can't come into the little Lawson station. I think I'm also going to take him with me to the mountains. That'll be interesting. Okay, the next part of this exercise is that I need to go over my Good Life Creed, which is outlined in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. My creed consists of, and a creed, of course, is just a set of objectives and principles, or values, or laws, whatever you want to call it, that one or a group could use to abide by to live a better life. For me, it consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles, which I assembled over the course of my 60 years that I use to live well. The objectives are what I'm striving for, the way I'm trying to live, and the principles are the tools that I use to get there. If you want to see the principles, have a look at the book. You can look at it for free at goingalone.org, which I'm sure is so funny. Now that I'm back in Japan, and I'm getting all these new subscribers, and the views are up, everything's up. I get dinged on the phone every time someone drops into my website, goingalone.org, and I know what's happening. People are like, "Oh wow, Japan content. Wow, look, this guy's got a website." Click on goingalone.org. What the hell is this? Because my website it supports my book. It has nothing to do with Japan. It's all this, esoteric, man thinks himself a philosopher stuff. The 8 objectives of my creed are as follows, and I won't explain them, I'll just list them out, and I do this in order so that I touch on them in my mind. It's almost like, so they're foremost in my mind. Here we are. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. 7, do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. 8, to keep my balance. Now I know that all that stuff needs some definition and some context and some lanes around it, some elements. Like, what the hell does it mean to do good actions, right? I mean, I have that defined out. Again, it's in the book, and I might go into that in more detail when I start doing my book readings, but this isn't the place for it. Okay, so now as for the day, today's plan, it's 6:28, so in just a few minutes, my plan is to finish this by 6:30, so 6:29, it's almost a minute away. I'm going to wrap this up. I'll wrap up my soliloquy. I'll answer any questions or respond to comments. Then I'll wrap this up and get back on my feet and walk home with my eggs. Then I'll have breakfast. I'll walk the dogs together with my wife. We'll have breakfast. That's where it gets interesting. Yesterday, I made this little chart. See this? And I identified, this was yesterday's outline for the day, and I identified 2 big blocks of time that were free that constituted roughly 8 hours of time. Basically, after breakfast until lunchtime, and then about 1 o'clock to about 6 o'clock. So it's a full hour. That's where I used to fit my job. I just realized that's the contours of a work day, right? So I've got the morning all filled out because I get up so dang early, and then I go to bed so darn early. So what I needed to be working on now is finding ways to fill this. Now it's going to get filled real quick when we get the keys to the house next Wednesday, and Yumiko and I are going to go to work because we have a budget for the to remodel the house. We got to buy tools. We got to get ourselves outfitted with, we're going to get coveralls, and the whole thing. That's going to be full for a year or more. Back off, Kurt. Don't worry about trying to fill it right now. Not today. Not today, Zerg. But today, I don't have anything to do. But I had fun with yesterday. After that, we went downtown together. We drove to Apira, and we had the most fun. I bought this hat. We had fun. We had donuts. Maybe we can do that this afternoon. And it's it's Friday, which means it's a sympathetic day. Did I talk about that already? I think I did talk about how I realized earlier that I don't think I did. Let me explain this real quick. I had this epiphany this morning. I was answering comments on YouTube, and I realized all of a sudden when I named this day Friday, and forgive me if I am repeating myself. I know I recorded this earlier, but I recorded it for the Retiring in Japan daily video. So it's worth repeating. I realized all of a sudden why I was excited that it was Friday. It's because being retired, and during the week when everybody else is seemingly everybody else is working and engaged, like, oh, the people aren't doing all this stuff, right? There's like 3 clerks stuck in the shelves. Being free like this is like arriving at a party an hour too soon, and everything's set up. The chips are on the table, the beers are there, the music is playing, but there's nobody there. Maybe just the host, in the kitchen doing stuff. And you sit there all by yourself. You got all the accoutrements of a good time, but it's not a good time until everybody joins you. And I realized that Friday has the feeling of anticipation that everyone's going to join us. And the party's going to start. So maybe what we can do is after lunch today, Yumiko and I can go downtown, take the train downtown, and have a nice time. The other thing I need to do today, let me make a note of this. I need to talk to Yumiko about these these Retiring in Japan daily videos that I'm doing now, which are incredibly popular. So much feedback from people. It's people like me, couples that are literally like, an American guy and his Japanese wife that are like 3-4 years away from retirement, planning to do the same thing, and they're like, wow, Kurt, we found your channel, you guys are doing what we're going to do. Or people that are dreaming of Japan and seeing what we're doing as a window into that, even though they might be a lot younger than us and not on the verge of retirement, nevertheless. And people really like, Yumiko's the star of the show. People really like seeing her, but I don't want to make her uncomfortable. I I've always been gun shy, especially when we lived in Japan before, about exposing my family and my in my videos. I'm gonna have a talk with her today. She seems to be very open to it, willing to participate. But I don't want to make her uncomfortable, nor do I want to make her family uncomfortable. So if you've been watching those videos, you may have noticed in the last couple of, like a week or so, it's been more my face on the camera. That's because I'm just not comfortable. But I know everybody wants to see them. And Yumiko wants to participate, so. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. See if we'll answer comments. And I know you told me how to say your name. Mellow Funk, that's it. Mellow Funk says morning. Good morning, Mellow Funk. Yudutsu Family Adventures morning. Well, that sounds like a very interesting channel name. I wonder if you're doing something similar to what I'm doing so far as sharing your family's experiences. Good morning to you and welcome. I think you're new to the channel. I haven't seen your comments before. Mellow Funk says I need to get that hat. It's been stupid cold in Michigan. It's a great hat. I really enjoyed it this morning. Terry Fronto says, are those Tom Ford glasses? These are just simple. I literally got 3 of them, 3 pair for $9 off of Amazon. And they're just $150 prescription, so I don't know what they are. Sam says, hey everyone. Sam says, I like gloves. Let me make some space here for people in case folks are sitting down. Do you have any disposable gloves, plastic gloves, rubber gloves, cleaning gloves? We will need those. We do family adventures. He says, that makes sense. My husband basically becomes a zombie during allergy seasons. It's terrible, isn't it? Udutsu. It sounds like a Udatsu. Japanese name? My husband's so bad he has to get steroid shots. That's, I think, what my brother-in-law gets too. Sam goes, I like to stay and watch the live stream if possible. Wear disposable plastic gloves, cleaning gloves on both ends just for me while you're live streaming. Why? No, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. Oh, is it because of your name, Sam Gloves? Well, I'll tell you what. Just for you, Sam. But I don't know if I can use the thing anymore. The scroll. Maybe it'll scroll. Oh, it still does. Mellow Funk says, oh yeah, it is Friday where you are. It is. Mellow Funk goes on. I've been watching the rest of Nadia, aka an old anime made by the guy that made Evangelion and Shin Godzilla at a specific time at night. There's only 4 episodes left before it's done. I don't know anything about anime. Sorry, I think I've heard of one of those. My goal is once I finish watching Nadia, I'm gonna make sure I head to bed at an earlier time for myself. Sam Glove says, softypapa, if you have any disposable gloves, would you wear it on both ends just for me while you're live streaming as well? Well, I'll do it now, but I'm not going to do it in the future. Hi, Journey. Good morning. I like disposable gloves, plastic gloves, rubber gloves, cleaning gloves, surgical gloves. Clearly, you like gloves. Well, guys, I'm gonna sign off. There's people sitting all around me. I'm sure that I'm making them uncomfortable. So, bye-bye, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe.